Hey guys, what is up? I am back and it is 2 days later. I am not doing any laundry, so you won't hear the clicking and clacking in the background this time. And I want to give you part 3 and hopefully the conclusion of the story of my stepdad. So as I was saying, he was getting sicker and sicker from 1998 until 2002 with cirrhosis and at that time diabetes. But he would come over while my mom was at work. He would come over to my apartment because my ex-husband, at that time we were still married, of course, we got an apartment. My ex-husband and I got an apartment in a nice part of town, and we loved that apartment. It was bigger than our first one, had 2 bedrooms. Well, our first apartment also had 2 bedrooms, but it was just a really nice place. And our baby had their own room, and my stepdad would come over while my mom was at work to see the baby. And he bought them a crib because we did not have a crib for them. And he bought bed covers and everything. And when we put our baby in the crib, they ran around and was excited and just like, this is my world. That was how they reacted to having a big old crib to themselves. And well, uh, I just was like, how do I say this? I was kind of surprised because he was wasting away over the years with his weight and everything. He just didn't look the same. Like at one time he had like a full face, not a fat round face, but it was just full and healthy because my mom kept him fed. I mean, she still kept him fed, but when he got sick, he just didn't look the same anymore. His cheeks and his face got drawn in, and he just looked sick, and he was just really, really thin and fragile. But he was still abusive, which I didn't understand. Um, some things happened the following year, and I had to leave the apartment because my ex and I were going through some problems. He wasn't mature enough to handle being married and a father, so he left. And he left me more than once. But he left, and I went back home to live with my mom. And I just some of the things that I saw, what he used to do to my mom, put her out of the bed and make me some breakfast. And one time she got tired of him, like just bossing her around like that. And so she said, look, you ain't gonna tell me what to do, so you ask me to make you some breakfast. You'll make me some breakfast, please. And she went and did it. So that was how things went. And he sometimes beat her. One time he was beating her up and she was fighting him back. And the fight made its way into the bedroom that I and my baby, at that time a little over a year old, were sleeping in, and he tried to beat her in front of me and my child, which I didn't appreciate at all. So I was, they fell onto the bed, and she rolled on top of him and straddled him to where he could not move. And so she hit him back. She was like slapping him in the forehead, and she said, I'm tired of this. I'm leaving you. And she would just like hit him in the head because at one point he was on top of her and was like trying to beat her. So I picked up a fireplace shovel and I was going to hit him in the head with it. And my mom stopped my wrist because I'm pretty sure that as hard as I swung back and was going to swing and hit him in the head, and I was inches away from his head, when she stopped my hand, I probably would have killed him. So she stopped my hand, and she told him that she was going to leave him. And she got the upper hand in the fight. But anyway, my ex-husband, well, we were still married at that time. He came back, and I would go to his mom's house to spend some time with him. And, well, me spending time with him wound up with me becoming pregnant with my second child. And, things happened with him. I may tell the story of that one day, I don't know, but things happened, and we had to go back and live with my mom and my stepdad. And over the course of us being there, he became suddenly too fragile to beat my mom anymore, which I was thankful for, and I'm sure she was too. But it also meant that he was getting sicker. And at the end of 2000 and beginning of 2002, no, sorry. Okay, let me redo this because I'm just going by memory here. At the end of 2001, he spent Christmas with his family, and that was his last Christmas. And at the beginning of 2002, it was just getting even worse. One time he came downstairs where me and my ex were with our babies watching television, and he had two shoes on one foot, and he had on his jacket like upside down or something, and his eyes were like bulging out of his head. And he was gonna try to get my ex to drive him to the store to get a bottle of Thunderbird, to which my ex refused and told him, no, no, I can't do that. So Mr. K went back upstairs, feeling defeated, wanting his Thunderbird, and he went back to bed. And when my mom got home from work, we told her about it. And so she went to check on him, and he went back into the hospital. He was in and out of the hospital like endlessly over the past few months of his life. And one day he went outside. My mom left me alone because my husband was at work and she was at work. And I was left alone because I had to watch my two kids and I had to watch over him. So I got up one morning after feeling two bumps on the bed. Sometimes I would feel these bumps on the bed waking me up. Nobody was in the room with me, but I would feel just two bumps on the bed waking me up. So I got up and I went to across the hall to his room. He wasn't there. I ran all over the house, through the garage, everywhere. He was nowhere in the house. Finally, I went out the front door and onto the porch, and I saw this little figure down the street, and a police car was pulling up. Somebody reported that an elderly man, possibly with Alzheimer's, was wandering down the street, and all he had on was some boxer shorts, two shoes on one foot, and a jacket. And he was trying to walk down to the store to, you guessed it, get a bottle of Thunderbird. Well, they brought him home and they called medics, and medics got there. I called my mom, and she came home. And at that time, she was 40 years old, looked like a 20-year-old. And he was 47 and looked 67 or 77. He looked just that bad. That cirrhosis was just eating away with him. At him, I mean. It was eating away at him. So, he went to the hospital again, and at that time, they called, when he got sent home, he got hospice care. And hospice would come around, I think, twice a week. And they would check on him because when he wandered down the street with two shoes on one foot, the foot that had no shoe, sorry. The foot that had no shoe, his toe was really badly mangled somehow. And the cirrhosis prevented that toe from ever healing. So they would come over, they would change the bandages on his toe, they would give him a bath and stuff like that. And finally, like a month before he passed away in February, that's when he finally stopped wanting Thunderbird. But it was too late. By then, his liver was basically gone. His family came over one Sunday wanting to see him, and they wanted me to go get him. So I went to the bedroom to try to wake him up, and he was not responding. He was shivering, and I tried to call his name, and he was not responding to me. So I ran back to the kitchen where they were waiting on him, and I said, "He's not responding." And they said, "What do you mean he's not responding?" I said, "I called his name, and he won't answer me. He's not responding." So they all ran to the bedroom to see about him. And to make that long story short, my ex-husband, well, my husband at that time, and some of the male family members, while he was like trying to wiggle his way out of his arms, they carried him out to the car to take him to the hospital. For some reason, they declined to call an ambulance. They just went ahead and took him in the car. He couldn't speak and he couldn't like cry out, but he was like wiggling away, like he was like trapped inside himself, but he couldn't like respond. So he kind of knew what was going on, but he kind of didn't. And I think his body knew that it was the last time he was going to go into the hospital. So he went in and he was there. They got him out of the state he was in because he had ammonia on his brain. And so they got him out of that state that he was in. And they, one time he told my mom that a doctor came to the room and told him he was going home. So when she came to see him, he was like, "Kathy, why didn't you bring my clothes? The doctor said I'm going home today." My mom went out and talked to a nurse, and they said, "I'm sorry, Miss K, but no doctors came to see him yet. His doctor's not even here yet." So he saw a doctor that nobody else saw. And he saw flowers on the wall where there were no flowers. He would talk to people that were long gone. My mom suspected that it was his mom that he was talking to because at one point he went, "It's been so long. It's been so long." And when my mom asked him what he said, he looked at her and just said, "Huh? Oh, nothing. I didn't say nothing." So, March 2nd of 2002, while my mom and his sisters were there, he finally took his last breath. He held on for as long as he could, and my mom said that she felt his spirit standing beside her looking at her, and his body was looking at her. And she said, "It's okay. You can go. I'll be okay." And he took his last breath. And that was it. He passed away, and we had his funeral. My ex wouldn't take me to the hospital for that one last time because I wanted to see him before he went. And my ex wouldn't take me, so that night it was raining. He drove into a telephone pole, messed up his car, and went to jail for 2 weeks. So he was in jail when my stepfather passed away, and he was in jail during the funeral, even though he was listed as one of the pallbearers. So, yeah, that's pretty much how that went. Uh, I don't really get emotional thinking about it. I'm sorry that he passed away, I truly am, but he was just, really, he had his good days, as we all do. He had his good days, but unfortunately, he also had some very bad ones. So I really am sorry that he passed away. I wish that he would have stopped drinking, and I wish that he'd have been a better husband for my mom. That's really all I can say about that. And Mr. K, I hope you're resting well, And with that, you guys, I think I'm going to go. Thank you so much for being patient with me and for listening to this. I hope to see you guys on the next upload. Love you very, very much, and bye for now.